Thank you for coming back to the show, Rhonda. We have happier things to talk about this week. And thank you for being here, Connie. If you didn't watch last week's episode, we took a deep dive into the renovation that Rhonda and her husband have been doing at their downsized dream home and the nightmare that ensued from that. And now we're talking about your business. You two, sister-in-laws, have a business out of the Sacramento Granite Bay area, and you do design work. And so we want to, one, showcase your design work and also give the folks at home some ideas about how they can transform a room on their own, but also what is the type of work that you'd want to hire out with folks like yourselves, with women like yourselves. So let's get started. Both of you. So you are sister-in-laws. Rhonda, you have a full-time job. You're a professional, and you were in real estate for many years.
Yeah.
Connie? Okay, before starting what you're doing.
Yes.
So what led you to, let's start with you, Connie, to doing this work in design? I guess seeing all the houses over the years.
Seeing all the houses and just a general love of home from a very, very early on in my life. I've just always loved nice spaces and home design, and I've always been very interested in it. And then being able to redo a couple of houses for my husband and myself, and we just kind of fell into it.
And you, Rhonda, so I've been to your houses over the years, and you just have cool style. And I can tell that you have cool style. I can see the room there, Connie, and the hat. So I know you've got it. And so then, Rhonda, for you, it's a side hustle, and you have busy kids and a busy life. So taking this on, and Sacramento's a couple hours from home. So you pick and choose what you do with your time, and you choose to do this. You enjoy it.
Yeah, I do. I enjoy it. And initially it did start out kind of more like a hobby for both of us. Connie was really busy in real estate, and of course I had my day job, and we had just multiple people asking us for our help with new builds and redoing rooms. And so as we kind of started booking our personal time to help out, we kind of figured, well, let's team up, let's do this. And so from there, we just we started taking out small jobs, and for me, the part-time has been amazing. But like Connie said, over the last, I would say, year, we've really picked up, and so she's had to put in a lot more hours than me, but I think she enjoys it. So I this is definitely what I would do with my personal time. I'm just excited to work with my sister-in-law. I think we're a good team.
We're a great team. We complement each other. We have different strengths, and Rhonda really pushes my design. She definitely has more. She's the spice and sugar and spice. She's going to take a lot more risks than I am.
Yeah.
So Connie, when you talk about, Rhonda was explaining to me off the air that you're kind of you're the person of the two of you that sees the structural change that needs to happen. So you walk into a room and you say, okay, that wall needs to go, this can stay. And so what do you bring? And how do you, when you walk into a room, how do you see that so clearly? I guess, again, from being in so many houses, you see what works and what doesn't and get ideas.
It's interesting. When I walk into a room, like the first thing my mind does is picture exactly how I think the room should be, regardless of what it looks like. And then that's how I see it. And luckily with technology, we have a program that I can then go and sit down with the measurements of the room and create it and turn the vision I have in my head when I walk in into a rendering that then we can use. But I don't know how I am able to do that, but that's what happens. I just walk in and see a space and feel like I know how it should look.
Well, that's funny because I'd imagine, I think I would like for you to walk into my house because there's a wall I would like to get rid of. And I did find out that it's not the wall you can't get rid of, but it does happen to have the kitchen up against it. So it would be a little bit complicated. But, so for people who are really planning to stick around, stay in the house, and, make it their home, it's worth making those changes because you're going to have years of pleasure with that. So then, Rhonda, you come in at the same time, but your touches are different. Tell us your role in the business.
Yeah. Well, first I want to highlight what you just said, because that's very important. And this is where there's a lot of value in Connie's experience as a real estate agent, is that she does understand where you would get your money worth, in terms of what rooms you should upgrade or restructure. So that's a really important piece of our business, and it makes us, I think, successful and have a little edge, I think, over some others. But yeah, so my role is, like Connie said, it's more the finished touches. Of course, we coordinate on everything together. We don't make any decisions without one another.
No.
She would draw a rendering and we both review it together. And sometimes it's 2 or 3 renderings before we decide what we like. And then we usually present those renderings, all 3, to the client so that we can get their take on it as well. But I really do come in the shopping, and lighting seems to be something that is my forte. To me, it's like jewelry,
Yeah. I was just thinking that when you said it, I was thinking that.
Yeah, the lighting is like the, shoes and jewelry. So it's the finishing touches. Accessories, yeah. And it really can make a room feel different and carry a different vibe. So, and then we both work on that together, but usually I go and shop and pick out things, and then we come together and eliminate what doesn't work. And sometimes it doesn't work in the structural space that she's designed. So, yeah, we work well together in that way.
Well, let's take a quick break. When we come back, I want to show some of the rooms, the before and afters, and you guys can kind of walk us through, you, Connie, your role, and then Rhonda, your finishing touches. I see the stuff that you post on Facebook, and it's incredible. So I'm excited to share with everybody. We'll be back in just a moment. We are back with Rhonda and Connie, sister-in-law team extraordinaires, Sugar and Spice Interior Designs in Sacramento, but you work in other places in California. In fact, there's a couple of things we're going to show. One was in San Diego, which is a hike from Sacramento. Shows you love what you do. So let's kind of go through some before and afters. I've been looking at the pictures. I see what you post online. You said some specific things ahead of the show. And let's just start with the little girl's room. That's one of the ones that was in San Diego. You took a little, toddler room and turned it into like kind of a big girl room. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, that was really our first, I would say, big undertaking. And we took some chances on that room. It was 2 sisters that were going to be sharing a room. So it was a little bit challenging trying to fit the big girl beds in there, and once they're 2 or 3 years apart, so trying to make it cohesive with their ages. But that project was so much fun, and one of the things we love to do is to have the family leave the house the day of the finished touches. And so we actually do have some great video. If you go onto our website or Facebook, you can see the video, but we have great video of the girls walking into the room with their parents, and it's precious. It was really, really fun.
And how about you, Connie? What did you feel about your contribution to that room? And again, you walked in and saw exactly how it needed to look. And what did you see needed to change, and what did you implement?
Well, that room was so much fun because we did just a couple of different designs, and this was a room we'd never saw in person before. We just had photographs and measurements. So I didn't have the opportunity to walk in. So we just laid out designs based on furniture sizes of what would look good where in the room. And it just turned out the colors, another way Rhonda and I complement each other. I'm more safe. She picked a bold color, a bold wallpaper. And it was just super fun. But yeah, being able to do the rendering on paper to send to a client so they could actually visualize their options of the room was, it was the first time using our program, I think, to do that. So
Well, that makes a big difference too, because I mean, I don't even know how to measure a room. I don't know in terms of feet. I know how tall I am. And I guess if I laid across the floor, I would know, how much space there is. But, some people just have this spatial awareness that has to go into what you're doing,
It does. It's super.
especially if you haven't been in the room.
Exactly. So that was one of the things with our program is we would decide how big, for example, we have a big desk in there, but it had to be a very specific size for that room. There was one wall that it could go on. So we had a shop for this specific size because if it was too small or too large, it wasn't going to work. So having that spatial awareness is very important in design.
And how about this rounded the rounded bar and the fireplace? That was another location you did.
That was a job. Nope, that was in Pleasant Hill, and
Okay.
that house was your typical 80s house, and there was a hallway bar, and it was just very boring. And the homeowner maybe wanted to eliminate it, but instead, we suggested this arch with a really fun tile because you can see it from the dining room, from the hallway, from upstairs. And it turned out really great. So I'm glad the homeowner decided to go with that concept.
That was a job Connie spent a lot of time at just because of my work schedule. She spent more time on that project than I did, and she physically was there quite a bit. But I think that was an amazing transformation. Like Connie said, it was a very 80s kind of style home. And Connie did a great job on that. I always like to push the envelope a little bit, and I was feeling it was a little bit safe. I was like, let's do something, something a little different there, a little more jazzy. And the thing that is really good about what we do is that we have time to sit down with the client and really get to know them personally. And so Connie nailed it on that one. It was right on. It fit the personality of our client. It was exactly what she wanted, and she just couldn't get it out. And so we had fun working with her and allowing us to come in and take some chances. We love arches. And that arch bar, that it's just such a cool feature. It's like Connie said, you can see it from all the different angles, and just brought a lot of warmth to the space.
Now, did the homeowner have the house for a long time, or did they buy it knowing they were going to do this renovation?
She's lived in the house for quite a long time, but it's her forever home, and she's waited a long time to renovate it. She did some updates when she first moved in, and then hasn't done anything since. So it was very dark, very a specific style. So we transformed the entire downstairs, not just a bar area, but we rearranged locations of rooms. It was kind of like the no demo reno. We didn't really take down any walls, but we repurposed the whole way the space was used.
And when you were talking about earlier about how, and Rhonda was reiterating how, there's certain rooms you just don't spend a ton of money on because especially if you're not going to live there forever and enjoy them. So the kitchen, let's take a look at this kitchen that we're talking about here with this rock kitchen. That's a kitchen. I don't know much about design, but I know that that's a room you spend some money on. That's the room you're in probably the most of your house.
Absolutely. That's a Granite Bay project. And this was an exceptionally fun project. It was a 1962 ranch house that was basically taken down the studs. And we were in on the project from the moment we purchased it and just knew instantly what this house should look like. But the kitchen is definitely where you want to spend money. The kitchen, the bathroom, and then actually like space of storage, cabinetry, like all of that is a very good use of money when renovating, making spaces feel special instead of ordinary.
And how about you, Rhonda? So if Connie, you're kind of the expert at the spatial parts of your renovations, when you must collaborate then on, like, you decide that this is the kitchen you put this kind of rock in. This kitchen can handle this kind of accessory, we'll call it, detail.
Yeah, you can't go that bold with every project. it has to fit the space. That particular kitchen opens up to a pretty large great room. The ceilings, I believe, are only 9 feet.
8 feet throughout the house, except in the kitchen. They were proper
In the kitchen. Yeah, so you would think that that's even too bold for a shorter ceiling height, but it actually, because of the room was so big, we were able to pull that off. And that particular room is where everyone gathers. The island is huge. There's a wall with the freezer and refrigerator, and then a small bar. And it just seems to be the gathering spot, and it's just so warm when you're in that room. And yeah, again, I think we hit it out of the ballpark on that one, because that is where your money should be spent. And Connie also mentioned the bathrooms. I would say the master bathroom and the kitchen, and that the detail in the cabinets. I know for me, my husband wants everything handy right there when he's cooking, but I have to get creative with that because I don't want everything sitting out. So, and those are details that we do really pay attention to. And we literally stand in front of the, where the stove's going to be, and what's within reach, and what would be convenient. And so we really work the kitchens pretty well in that way.
For sure.
Also, one detail then that leads to this is the hallway that we're looking at a picture of it now. People don't think about their hallways, right, as being this spaces. So, I mean, we put some pictures on the wall or whatever, but this table there and those details, I mean, so it doesn't cost a lot of money to spruce that up.
No, in fact, this hallway was one of the main reasons the house was purchased. When you walked in, it had such a dramatic effect. And when the homeowners were working with the architect wanted to remove the hallway and create more living space. And I put my foot down and said, absolutely not. This hallway is what gives this house character. And instead of trying to make it disappear, we wanted to enhance it and make it like this piece of art when you walk in, with huge chandeliers and a ceiling treatment. And it just, and it is one of the showstoppers in the house.
Perfect. Well, let's take a break. When we come back, we're just going to give people a few tips at the last of the show of how they can make a transformation in their room themselves. And then when is it time to call someone like the two of you to do it for them? We'll be back in just a moment. We are talking with Rhonda and Connie today. They are a sister-in-law team. They own Sugar and Spice Interior Design in the Sacramento area in California. And we've been showing some of your renovations. And what about the folks at home who just want to transform a room? Years ago, I used to help friends out, and I called it a room a day. And I would just transform the room with maybe paint, pillows, those kinds of accessories. No wall moving or changing even of lighting, but just a little something. So what are some ideas you can give to folks who aren't going to hire out renovation? And then tell us when is the time to hire out renovation. So let's start with you, Rhonda. Since you're the last details portion of this business, what is your recommendation, and for just sprucing up the room or making a change that you can feel kind of instant gratification, really?
Yeah, I think, paint is always something that, refreshes the look. The trend right now is either very, very light whites or one dark, focus wall. So you can and that's cost effective. You can transform a room with paint. And I would say we're pretty big proponents of wallpaper.
I love the peel and stick wallpaper these days. And I was in your powder room recently and I loved it. It's really bold.
Yeah. Just and the fun thing about that is you can put a pop of color in. You can do it yourself. Mm-hmm. And like you said, we love peel and stick. You can have it in rooms, bathrooms with showers and moisture, and it holds up great. And the pleasure of being able to work with peel and stick is that you can remove it and update your space again, and go through trends, and it's not expensive to do.
Well, then let's talk to you, Connie. So at what point is the time, with just our couple minutes left, you're not going to do the space yourself, you probably need to call somebody like the two of you in to do it?
I would say when you want to do anything more than what we just talked about, with anything more than just some pillow updates, some throws, some pillow and stick, whenever you want to go beyond that and you want to transform a space, it is really smart to hire somebody who does have a vision of spatial design and can create special moments. I know one of the biggest compliments we ever got from a client was she said, everywhere I look, there's something aesthetically pleasing to look at without being overdone. And I think that that is a huge thing to be able to accomplish in a home, that you want everywhere you look to be aesthetically pleasing.
That's when it comes down to the details, right?
Exactly.
It's where you place the picture frame. It's where you hang the plant. It's all of those details that some people just don't see. So, if you're going to transform a room, you're not just, the two of you aren't just painting and wallpapering. You're putting every last detail that when they walk in and see that reveal that you described, Rhonda, it's a transformation. It's not, you don't leave it for them to now figure out where to put the furniture and what works for pillows and all those details.
We're trying to create a feeling when you walk in. We want the emotional reaction, that feeling of, oh, this is home.
Yeah. And I just to add quickly too, if you are also planning to hire a contractor to do some work, I highly suggest that is another time that you would want a designer to come in and team up with that contractor, because they sometimes don't have the vision that we might have, for one, and because you're talking about placement and, what would hang there or go there. And then the other piece of it is just the communication. It takes that off of your plate, because we work well with contractors and getting your idea and translating it to them. So it's a good partnership.
And we had a whole episode last week about how to go about choosing your contractor. So again, if you haven't watched the episode last week with Rhonda, now is a good time to do that. Thank you both for being here and sharing your expertise and all these fabulous photos. People will be able to find you by your name on the screen. And, I think that anytime that we can have some ideas and collaborate and change a space, I work at home. I'm home 90% of the time. My space needs to represent like my life and what makes me happy and what's pleasing to me. And I think that we spend more and more time at home these days, a lot of remote workers and all of that. So we need to really enjoy the space and pay attention to those details. So thank you for sharing those details with us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you so much for having us.
Best to you both. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks.